Lee to Cam. Review here. Hi everyone. Out here in the hills this morning, the mountain wind was chilly, and I was standing over my batch of persimmons, heart pounding. If they were still astringent, all those sleepless nights would be for nothing. I peeled off the tough skin, lifted the first slice to my lips, and boom, pure sweetness. The bitterness was gone, like it never existed. We did it time to get them to market before the early crowd thins out. I hurried to water the garden. The greens looked like they were ready to leap out of the beds. Give it a few days, and we'll have a fresh green meal. Then I went back to my little princess. All right, lay down, time for milk. Little Mango. Beizoi was extra sweet today. Eyes half closed, tiny hand wrapped around mine. With my baby in my arms and a basket of persimmons, I headed down the village road. The market opened, and people started looking our way. How much for the persimmons? 25,000 V&D a kilo. Some tried to bargain. Some wondered if they'd been cured properly. I calmly offered a taste. 1, 2, then 3 faces relaxed. So sweet, neighbors called each other over, and the basket started emptying fast. A gust flipped the tarp, nearly sent the whole basket flying, but I grabbed it just in time. Little Mango clapped, chirping, bye 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 bye. Everyone laughed, and trust spread across the stall. Sold out. All I had left were a few cool, fragrant persimmon leaves, and my child's wide, bright eyes, enough to power me through a long day. If our little story gave you a smile or a bit of motivation, please hit like, subscribe to Lie to Cam Review, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's next. Everything was calm until Nam showed up. He's the police officer in the familiar blue uniform who often stops by to check on us. Today, his face was more serious. He's tracking a brazen robbery that happened at the early market. He said he'd stop by a young woman named Le Tuan's place to take a statement and see how she's doing. Before he left, I offered him a cup of tea. His hand held the cup, but his eyes were already down the road following the case. I didn't go with him. I only heard about it later. When Officer Nam stepped into Tuan's small room, the place smelled like antiseptic mixed with hot tea. His first question was, "Are you hurting anywhere else? Please tell me what happened." She spoke, voice shaking, stopping now and then. Then she surprised him. "Do you know anything about the mother and child who helped me?" My heart tightened when I heard that part. Turns out, while my little one and I were on our way to sell, we'd managed to run over, chase the thieves off, and shield her from the next blows. I never brought it up because it felt like the right thing to do. But in her story, I could hear real gratitude. Nam nodded, pulled out his notebook, and wrote down my address. "She wants to come say thank you," he said. Late that afternoon, sunlight slanted across the yard, while little Mango Beizoi babbled, playing with the patches of light. I realized the small things we do can sometimes pull someone back from the edge. That moment alone made my whole day. Later that same day, with Tuan still on my mind, I saw Nam's bike turn into the alley. The back was piled high with peeled log cores stacked up to his shoulders. "Hey, give me a hand for a second," he called. Rushed, but cheerful. I ran out, surprised and happy. "That's a lot of wood." "You brought it to help me put up the kitchen wall." I pictured a kitchen less drafty, less rain blowing in. I figured he'd bought it, but he waved it off. Didn't buy it. I stopped by a buddy's mill and asked. He said, "Take whatever helps." I laughed, relieved. "Oh, I thought you paid for it." He looked at me a little concerned. "Can you carry it?" "Looks heavy." I tried lifting a bundle, and bent my back into it. It's light, really. The dry wood smelled sun-warmed and felt cool to the touch. Little Mango stood in the doorway, eyes wide, watching the two of us hustle. I whispered to her, "Mango, stay in here and watch Mommy carry the wood, okay?" The stack of log cores sat neatly against the wall. Hands on my hips, I did a quick count. This much should be enough for the whole kitchen wall. Nam nodded, laid a few pieces out in the yard, and used a bit of chalk to mark lines. "Let's plan it out. You said you don't want it fully closed, right? Block the wind, but keep it airy, so it's not stuffy when you cook." I nodded quickly. We're up high, and the wind tunnels through. When it rains, it blows straight into the kitchen. I just need it half closed, half open, a bit taller to cut the wind. All right, we'll set bamboo posts for strength. Build the frame, then skin it with the cores. I'll go cut some bamboo. Can you clear the kitchen?" he said, already grabbing his knife. I called after him. "Okay, be careful." His footsteps faded up the slope, bamboo leaves rustling. A little later, he dragged in long, straight bamboo poles, skins glossy green. I cleared the dish rack, shifted the stove back, gathered the ash and charcoal, and swept the dirt floor. Mango sat on her little stool, banging a spoon on a plastic bowl like she was keeping time. "Lend Mommy the hammer," I teased. She squealed and handed me the spoon. He set the bamboo, and I held the base of the posts. Lift a bit there, hold it steady. The hammer thumped nails sinking into the grain. A cool, early-season breeze slipped past our shoulders, and the fresh bamboo smell mixed with dry wood. I fumbled my first nail, swung off center, and bent it. I laughed, ruined it. He took the hammer, straightened the nail. "It's fine. I'll hold go again." I took a breath, squared the hammer face, and tapped in a steady rhythm. This time, it landed true. Nam glanced over, smiling. "You're pretty good with nails." I joked, "I've had practice. The wind and rain trained me." We found a rhythm bamboo, post up crossbeams in place. Then each piece of wood went on snug, with gaps a few fingers wide, so air could pass without rain blowing straight in. If a piece was warped, he shimmed it. If an edge was chipped, I rotated it, so the clean side faced out. Bit by bit, the kitchen wall took shape, clean, straight rows. I took the chance to lug the dish rack farther out of the way. "Heavy?" he asked. "If it's heavy, I've got you." I laughed, still lifting with him, sweat beading at my temples. Evening clouds gathered the smell of rain in the air. I hurried him, "Let's build it a little higher, so the rain won't blow in tonight." He nodded. "Right. One more row should do it." The hammer started up again, steady beats as the kitchen came together. Every so often, Mango dashed out and shoved a tiny towel into my hand. "Mom, wipe your sweat." I kissed her forehead. "Thanks, my little helper." When we finished the last row, he stepped back, and so did I. In front of us stood the new kitchen wall, solid at the base, smooth across, and vented just enough. I tested a fire. The flame stood steadier now, no more flickering in the wind. The smoke rose and slipped out through the top gaps instead of blowing in my face. "That's it," he said, voice light like a weight had lifted. I filled the kettle and set it on the stove. "When it boils, I'll make tea. Call it the grand opening for our kitchen wall." The first drops started pattering on the roof. I looked at the wet line out on the porch. The kitchen floor stayed dry. I turned to thank him, but he was already dusting off his hands, squinting at the wall. "If the wind kicks up later, you can cook without worry. And if you run out of nails or wood, call me." I laughed. So the kitchen has its own police bodyguard now. The kettle sang. I poured 2 steaming cups of tea. On the other side of the wall, the wind kept a low hum. Mango leaned against my knee, eyes drooping. Suddenly, everything felt like it had clicked into place, a new kitchen wall, a meal without rain blowing in, and a quiet kind of kindness steady as bamboo. Tonight, the kitchen will be warmer, not just from the fire, but from the hands that built this little pocket of peace. During a break, I quickly poured 2 cups of water. It was blazing hot heat shimmering off the ground. Nam leaned against the new bamboo post, sweat still beating at his temples. I handed him a cup. Here, drink. Then my throat tightened. Does helping me this much mess with your work? I'm worried it might hurt your income. Nam let out a soft laugh. So kind, it eased my worry. No, of course not. I just squeeze in bits of time to come help you. At work, everything's still covered. I'm not skipping out on anything. He tapped his cup lightly against mine, like a second reassurance. Out on the porch, the hot wind rushed through the leaves, and the tarp fluttered. And also, he paused a beat, half joking, half serious, if I swing by now, and then just let me mooch a meal. That simple line softened my heart. I nodded, but still said, okay, but if you're busy, handle your work first. I'd feel bad if this affects you. He waved it off. Don't overthink it. We'll keep things straight and make it all fit. We talked about the days ahead. Nam pointed toward the steep road. I'm thinking of running power up here for you and the little one. With electricity, we can put in a fan so nights aren't so hot. The new kitchen wall will help the smoke too. I hesitated. We'll run a line from a neighbor's place. He nodded. Yeah, but it's a long way, about 200 meters of cable. We'll plan it right, make it solid, then measure again to cut down on loss. I pictured a thin wire running along the hillside, a small line of light connecting our kitchen to everything around us. He poured more water and kept reminding me, whatever you do, take care of your strength. Don't push too hard. I don't want you getting sick. I smiled. I'm used to it, but okay, I'll take it slow. He nodded, firm but warm. If something's missing, or it's too much to do alone, let me come help. I told him my plan for some livestock. When the persimmons sell and I have a little capital, I want to buy chickens for over here. He listened closely, with that practical look of someone who's mapped things out. Use the space you've got. This area's lower risk for disease. Build airy coops with raised floors and wind breaks like today's kitchen wall, and you'll be good. I took in every word, already sketching a row of small coops in my head. Light metal roofs, dry bamboo, perches a corner for the water tray, just enough of a plan to lift the tiredness. The hot wind eased. Far off, the noon birds started up. Mango sat quietly on the doorstep, tapping a plastic spoon against a little bowl, like she was keeping time for our plans. I pulled out a chair for him and glanced at my hands still nicked from the wood. I'm just afraid I'm slow and wasting your time. Nam shook his head. Everything gets done in its own time. What matters is doing it solid. Today's kitchen wall is one step. Getting power is the next. Then the chicken coop. One thing a day. I smiled, feeling suddenly lighter. Hearing you say that calms me down a lot, he answered. And I feel better seeing you take care of your health. When the wind howls or the rain sets in you, and the little one will have shelter, a fan to cool you, and a rooster to wake the morning. A gust swept through fresh bamboo, and a hint of rain mixing in the air, cooling both the kitchen and us. I stood up. Let me stoke the fire and warm the soup. You sit and rest a minute." Nam set his cup down, looked around the freshly fixed kitchen, and gave one of his rare long smiles. "The place feels different today." I looked too, and saw the small changes braided together a sturdy wall. The plan to run an electric line along the ridge, the chicken coop close enough to touch, and right in the middle of it all, a cool cup of water, and a reminder to pace myself. No miracles, just hands, each hammer strike each meter of wire steady steps. But those small things add up to a tomorrow that feels closer and clearer. I went in, scooped a bowl of rice, and set out another pair of chopsticks. "Here's that mooched meal you asked for," I joked. He laughed. "Deal many more to come." Out on the porch, the sunlight shifted. In the kitchen, the heat rose, but it didn't feel stifling anymore because a different kind of breeze had started in my chesties and hope. After a day of cleaning, the house sat neat and cozy, like it had finally exhaled. Toucan felt the space between them melt away and said softly, "It's already late. Why don't you stay? I'll cook, and you can eat with me and my little one." Nam smiled a bit apologetic because he still had to head home for dinner. Dinner with his mom, and a few things to take care of at home, but he didn't close the door on what might come next. "I'll stop by again when I have some free time." They walked each other out to the porch. Wind slipped through the new kitchen wall, and the smell of fresh rice drifted from the little house. "Get home safe," she said. Nam looked at her a beat longer than usual. "Make sure you eat well." They stood still for a moment, afraid to move and break what had just begun. Nam gently brushed a speck of dust from her cheek. Their eyes met, and any promises felt unnecessary. In that gentle pause, Nam leaned in. Toucan closed her eyes. The warm kitchen light fell over their first kiss, slow, a little awkward, but warm. No vows needed. That one kiss said that from today, they wouldn't be alone anymore. Ahead were shared meals, simple reminders, and a home they'd build together.